O wise men, riddle me this, what if the dream come true? What if the dream come true, and if millions unborn shall dwell in the house that I shaped in my heart? These were the words written by Padraig Pearse after the death of his friend and prominent member of the Irish Republican Brotherhood, Jeremiah O'Donovan Rossa. In June of this year, 105 years will have passed since his death and since Pearse stood by his grave. The fools, the fools, the fools, he said. They have left us our Fenian dead. A seminal moment in Irish history. Pearse himself was dead within a year of making the oration, executed in May of 1916 for his role in the Easter Rising. Along with 13 others, he was shot by a British firing squad in the grounds of Kilmainham Jail. 2 others were to die in the months after in Cork and Pentonville prisons. And though countermanding orders from Owen McNeill, commander of the Irish Volunteers, left the provisional government weakened, 5 days of bloody street fighting saw thousands of Irish women and men take on the might of Britain's empire. Their defeat, followed by hundreds of arrests and the subsequent executions of the Republican leadership, awakened in other ways passive people to demand their freedom. And so it is at this time of year that we remember not just those who fought at Easter week, but every generation and every campaign before and after who fought for Irish freedom. We remember not just those who died, but the countless others who made other sacrifices. For the consequence of political struggle does not always mean death, though that is often an assured outcome. It also means family, and it means time lost with those we love the most. All these things and more were sacrificed by those who desired something better, by those who saw an injustice in the world and could not let it pass. And so, the greatest injustice of them all, man's usurpation of man, maintained as it is by a foreign power, is the foundation upon which our struggle continues. For that question, as long as it remains unresolved, so long as that injustice is perpetuated, so too will the demand for that wrong to be righted. And that is the demand that we make today. The same that was made by our rebel army in the year of 69. This was the demand made by the columns of men and women who marched through Dublin City 104 years ago. And they made that demand not with votes or with petitions to Westminster. No, this demand would be made the way others had made it in generations before them and thereafter. It was a demand made with rifles and with bullets. And those rifles, they didn't demand devolution of powers to local administrations. Their bullets did not ask for powers of taxation. They did not envision that their freedom would be the freedom to enact British legislation in Ireland, or that legislation would strip away the welfare rights of Irish citizens already marginalised and living in poverty, or indeed to put a tax on their spare bedrooms. That demand was made for nothing less than a 32-county socialist republic that would cherish all the children of the nation equally. And today, that same struggle finds itself in the most unusual of contexts. The 26-county state, having abandoned all vestiges of republicanism and revolutionary intent long ago, joining other European states in a new fiscal empire, serves as a warning to those intent on replicating the transition to government. Republicans, having handed their weapons to the oppressor, now administer their failed 6-county state, supporting and overseeing their neoliberal economic policies. This, we are told, is the road to freedom we must walk, a road littered with business empires and with landlords, scattered with the dead bodies of a people left behind, a path walked by others before, only to disappear into the cul-de-sac of nationalism as Irish history repeats itself. This repetitive nature of Irish revolutionary politics provides a persistent lesson to us all, but it also provides hope. And I can tell you that, having looked into the eyes of many young comrades in recent years and discussed the future and how to get there, I see hope. I see a fire and a determination that has eluded us for many years. That generation, which will provide the leadership of republicanism in some short years, must do so with all the skill and resources that can be mustered in the here and the now. This year, the first in a new decade, has already given us an indication of the great changes facing the world. At the time of writing, the coronavirus has devastated the combined economies of the so-called great nations of this earth. It has plundered our peoples, ripped through now non-existent lines and economic demarcations the world over. It knows no borders. 100,000 souls and rising. Those so-called great nations have now injected a combined trillions of euros, dollars and pounds into their free market economies and fiscal stimulus efforts to prevent collapse. They spent the money they said they did not have. They found the money they told healthcare workers that they didn't deserve, and they acquired the money they told our schools that they couldn't find. Those key workers, having stood on picket lines only to be told they were not worth what they asked for, now they stand between us and oblivion. They fight on our behalf and without the proper tools. In desperate need of proper safety and protection equipment, they stepped into the gap anyway. Our health systems, stripped of beds and workers, were reinvigorated without delay. Extra beds made available to be staffed by extra workers, lest the money men need their help in a time of need. Private health facilities have come under the glare of state planning. Their service is requisitioned for a time of need, and though the power of capital reigns supreme, instead of nationalising a much needed service, those key workers who march onward against the virus will pay for it through taxation. A criminal act by a free market government that will not be forgotten. The virus might kill us, but our governments and capitalism will have let it happen. It is already clear that healthcare workers will pay a heavier price in this fight against the COVID-19 crisis than any other. They, like us, will remember Ireland's dead in a different way. The crowds that normally gather at graves across the nation are now playing their part also in slowing this crisis down. Instead, they gather at home, maintaining their distance from their neighbours and friends in order to reduce infection. As Ireland's streets lie largely empty, never before has such an event brought so many people together in a single conscientious act of social obligation. One thing is clear, the 6 and 26 county states have tackled this virus with a great cost to our people. Only an organised economy can effectively tackle a crisis such as this. So long as we allow the continuation of the free market and capitalist modes of production, the working peoples of the world will continue to literally pay the price for every crisis that the rich allow to happen. We owe it to every life lost and to every key worker on the front line of the war against this pandemic to create an Ireland in their honour. One that will remember the dead and fight like hell for the living. That will be their epitaph. We do not crave war. Instead, we crave an end to the circumstances that sometimes make war necessary. We crave an end to occupation, an end to poverty, to inequality and injustice. We desire to end the war that already exists, that which is fought between classes. Empires do fall, tyrannies do perish, a king's time as ruler rises and falls like the sun, and that same sun, the symbol of a resurgent Irish youth in Ireland, will rise again. And so, like Pierce at Ross's graveside, we now ask, what if the dream come true? Join the fight for a socialist republic.